The member for Brantford-Brant.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and good afternoon. I'd like to thank all the previous speakers for their comments and debate. I rise today to speak in opposition of the NDP motion. Absolutely. As this government has made very clear, improving our healthcare system is one of our top priorities. This motion comes at a time when Ontario and its healthcare system are facing unprecedented challenges following years of mismanagement by the former government. Patients are being treated in hallways and other non-conventional spaces. Wait time for long-term care spaces are increasingly long. There are currently over 30,000 people on wait lists for long-term care placements in Ontario. We've heard most of this already this afternoon. And in response to these challenges, our government is committed to implementing an innovative, evidence-based solutions to the challenges faced by the healthcare system. We've already taken immediate steps to solve these issues through the use of a new investment in capacity-challenged hospitals, the creation of new long-term care beds and spaces, and the making of a comprehensive capacity plan a priority. This government and the Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care recognizes the inherent complexity of the challenges facing us and is committed to responding in an appropriate way that is responsive, innovative, and provincial in scope. The motion by the NDP opposition is exactly the opposite of that. It is not responsive to any evidence-based analysis, it is not innovative, and it is a piecemeal, fragmented measure which does nothing to address the real and complex problems of the healthcare system as a whole. And so I want to begin by reiterating that our government has made improving our healthcare system one of its top priorities. We are committed to decreasing wait times for long-term care beds, to ending hallway healthcare, and to create and implement a comprehensive, multifaceted strategy to solve the current healthcare crisis that Ontario is in. This is a crisis that Ontario is currently experiencing in its healthcare system as a result of the past 15 years of Liberal government. We all know that during this time, the Liberals neglected to address the very real issues that existed in the healthcare system. They failed to acknowledge and plan for our ageing population, they did not make the necessary investments, and they left the system in chaos, disorder, and disarray. As a result of this, soaring wait times in hallway healthcare became an all-too-common occurrence in a fragmented healthcare system. The people of Ontario deserve better than this. The people of Ontario deserve a healthcare system that they can be proud of. They deserve a system where patients are not treated in a hospital hallway, one where they do not have to wait an exorbitant amount of time for a long-term care bed, and one where they can expect to receive high-quality care. In short, Ontarians deserve a healthcare system that works. We made a promise to the people of Ontario to solve these problems and to take the steps needed to realize a well-functioning healthcare system in our province. And we have already taken real and immediate concrete steps to doing just that. Speaker, last month, less than 100 days into our mandate, our government announced, as was mentioned previously, that it was moving forward with the building of 6,075 new long-term care beds and spaces across the province. And yet we realize that this is not enough to solve the current problems we are facing in long-term care. As a result, these beds are just the beginning. The first wave of the 15,000 new long-term care beds that our government has committed to building over the next 5 years, and of the 30,000 over the next 10 years. In addition, we are investing $90 million in new money to secure 1,100 beds and spaces as an immediate step to lessen hospital gridlock in anticipation of the upcoming flu season. I got my flu shot last week. I hope everyone else is going to do so soon. I should clarify that this $90 million investment is new funding in addition to the already existing $187 million on Ontario's 2018-2019 budget to support hospitals and assist them with capacity challenges. As a result, this funding, totaling $277 million, will support more than 460 beds and spaces that would otherwise close, as well as support over 640 new beds in anticipation of the upcoming flu season. These initiatives and investments show that we take our commitment to address our healthcare system's short and long-term challenges seriously and have taken real, concrete steps to doing so. While these measures are sorely needed to address the issues faced by our overburdened healthcare system, we realize that they are not enough in themselves. As I have already stated, the healthcare system is in crisis. It is fragmented, inefficient, and does not serve the people of Ontario in the way that they deserve. Because of this, we are committed to not only addressing the short-term problems in our healthcare system, but also to implement these solutions in the context of a broad and comprehensive healthcare strategy. The first step to doing this is to uncover and recognize the extent of the problems that we face. In order to reveal and acknowledge the magnitude of need that exists in our province, one of the top priorities of the Minister of Health and Long-Term Care has been to create a comprehensive province-wide capacity plan. This plan will paint a broad picture of the current problems that Ontario's healthcare system is currently facing and will be critical to providing measured, meaningful and effective solutions. Ontarians have entrusted us to use their tax dollars wisely, efficiently, and in a way that actually solves problems. We are doing just that. We are taking real steps to solve the very real problems faced by our healthcare system. These solutions are effective, thoughtful, and evidence-based. We know that the problem of hallway healthcare is a complex and multifaceted problem which requires similarly complex and innovative solutions. Our decisions and solutions reflect this. They are not arbitrary, but are made in a context of the ongoing consultation with patients, caregivers, frontline workers, and healthcare experts. Not only that, but we remain committed to engaging with stakeholders to create a long-term, transformational strategy to address the issues facing long-term care provision and hallway healthcare. We made a promise to the people of Ontario that we would create a healthcare system that works, and we are doing just that. Speaker, it is clear that our government has a plan in place and is taking concrete steps to solve the problems of our healthcare system. And while we make real progress in solving these problems for all Ontarians, the opposition motion is simply the NDP playing political games with our healthcare system by setting city against city. That's true. It is clear from this motion that the opposition is not working to solve these problems for all of Ontario. Rather than work to devise real workable solutions, they picked an arbitrary number of long-term care beds to create without any evidence base. Let's be clear. Our government is addressing the substantial need for a broad, comprehensive approach to ending hallway healthcare and reducing wait times, while the NDP are proposing unworkable solutions, without respect for taxpayer money, and all while playing political games with our healthcare system. The NDP has not been in government for over 20 years. They clearly do not know how to govern. This motion illustrates that fact. It is not an example of smart, innovative governance, but rather this motion is simply an attempt by the NDP to score quick political points. This fact cannot be made clearer when we consider that the Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care has not received applications for 2,000 not-for-profit beds from the cities cited in this motion. The NDP does not know how many long-term care beds this area needs and did not pick the arbitrary number of 2,000 not-for-profit beds based on any evidence. Not only that, but this motion clearly does not respect the fact that a detailed analysis, which takes into account a number of different factors, must be conducted before any bed allocations are approved. Once again, the NDP have not been in government for over 2 decades, and this amateurish motion clearly exemplifies that fact. The NDP motion demands that the proposed 2,000 new long-term care beds be not-for-profit. In doing so, the opposition demonstrate that it neither does it know nor does it care about the fact that long-term care homes operate according to a variety of different ownership and governance models. They may be not-for-profit, they may be for-profit, or they may be municipal long-term care homes. This shows the ineptness of this motion. By demanding that all the beds be not-for-profit, the opposition motion would limit available beds to a small number of operators and make it more difficult for patients to get beds in long-term care homes. Let me repeat that. This motion would make it more difficult, not less, for patients to get the beds that they need. Not only that, but the NDP motion doesn't acknowledge the fact that the Long-Term Care Home Act requires that the minister and the ministry engage in a highly structured decision-making process for long-term care licensing. Every long-term care home, regardless of whether it is not-for-profit, for-profit, or a municipal long-term care home, must comply with the requirements of the Long-Term Care Homes Act. In addition, every long-term care home is funded, inspected, and enforced according to the same manner regardless of their ownership. The minister takes into consideration both the concentration of ownership of long-term care homes as well as the balance between not-for-profit and for-profit homes. This decision-making process is required so that appropriate, evidence-based decisions can be made. This in-depth analysis is required for all new allocations of long-term care beds. It includes a long-term care license review and takes into account the long-term care capacity and the not-for-profit and for-profit balance. This is to ensure that the tax dollars which the Ontario government has been entrusted with are spent wisely and effectively. To repeat, the decision-making process and analysis is simply the result of the ministry doing its due diligence. This government understands and respects the processes in place to ensure the good management of our province's finances. However, Speaker, it is clear by this motion that the NDP does not respect the detailed analysis and comprehensive process that precedes the allocation of new long-term care beds and spaces. Not only that, but for these analysis and processes to begin, there must first be applications for new long-term care beds. The ministry has received no applications for 2,000 beds cited in the motion. We can clearly see that the opposition do not have an understanding of what must go into these sorts of decisions. They have no concept of good governance when it comes to making our health care system work for all Ontarians. Like the Liberals did for the past 15 years, the NDP are attempting to formulate solutions in isolation and without regard to the broader context of Ontario's health care system and its challenges. The sort of thinking that the NDP are displaying by this motion is the sort of thinking that got us into this crisis. This motion is simply an attempt by the opposition to address our current health care challenges through a fragmented and piecemeal approach. To do so is unwise, irresponsible, and ineffective. Unlike the NDP, this government learned from the failure of the former Liberal government and decided to implement informed and meaningful solutions in the context of a broad and comprehensive health care strategy. Contrary to the proposals in the motion, our solutions are composed of detailed analysis, extensive consultation with patients, family members, doctors, nurses, and other stakeholders, and an understanding that our solutions must be innovative and dynamic. With all of this said, our government recognizes that more should be done for these cities. Of the 6,075 new long-term care beds and spaces that were announced last month, 570 of these were allotted to the Central East Lynn, which is where these cities are in. This was mentioned before. Of these, 353 will be going to Scarborough specifically. This is just one example of the fact that this government and the Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care are taking real and informed steps to solve the current challenges that are facing our health care system. This government is working to transform our current health care system into one which works for patients, their loved ones, and frontline workers. We have already taken immediate steps to do this and create more long-term care beds, end hallway health care, and develop a comprehensive, transformational strategy to address the ongoing challenges which Ontario's health care system faces. Speaker, remember that just last month our government announced that it was taking action on long-term care issues. We will be creating 15,000 new long-term care beds and spaces over the next 5 years, and another 15,000 in the 5 years after that. This announcement came within the first 100 days of our mandate. Yet we know that this is only one of the first steps needed towards ending hallway health care and eliminating wait times for long-term care. We are quickly moving to address these issues and plan on maintaining our momentum in solving our health care crisis. The NDP motion is devoid of details or evidence for its proposals. It doesn't provide an actual plan. Unlike the opposition motion, our government is enacting real solutions, solutions which are based on evidence and sound policy. This government is committed to fixing our health care system in a responsible way which both respects the taxpayer and addresses the real challenges that the people of Ontario are facing. While 30,000 people are on wait lists for long-term care beds, the NDP are simply playing politics with this motion. They are continuing in tradition of the past 15 years of Liberal mismanagement, with all of the empty promises that go along with it. Ontario, its cities, and its people deserve better. They deserve a real plan to solve the ongoing crisis in health and long-term care. Our government was elected to provide effective, efficient, and innovative government for the people of Ontario. We promised to provide real solutions to the ongoing challenges that Ontario's health care system faces. Our government for the people is delivering on its commitments. We are providing for $90 million in new investment in addition to the $187 million already in the budget to support hospitals with capacity challenges. We have committed to 30,000 new long-term care beds and spaces over the next 10 years, with the first wave of 6,075 announced last month. We are making the creation of a comprehensive Ontario-wide capacity plan a top priority. Our government is working with stakeholders across the province to ensure that our healthcare system meets the high-quality expectations of the people of Ontario. Finally, Speaker, we believe that one patient treated in a hallway is one too many. That is why our government will work to create an innovative and modern health care system that works for the people of Ontario. Thank you.